Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you've joined me for episode 12 of KSP Road to Exploration, and we start by putting a more powerful communications rover out. Now, I did try this before for a different mission, but I didn't have very good range antennas, so it was kind of pointless. But this is for communicating with the Duna probe, because while messing around a little bit, I've actually had a little trouble, because it won't communicate with the ground station, and it has a very tiny cone of pointing where it can get a communications, so where it can get like a line of communications. So I put this out for the dedicated purpose of pointing right at the Duna spacecraft, so that we can get it on its way, and it does seem to be working out from what I've seen. So yeah, just thought I'd leave this in. Got some cool, nice little solar panels there. I thought that looked quite nice. But yeah. Anyway, we have quite a few things to do today. First and foremost, we'll be finishing our station once I've pointed this actually at Kestrel 1. This dish has a like a 60 gigameter range, and that's more than enough to go to Duna. You saw something else had like a terameter range or something because it was really far away, because it's kicked its way out of the solar system somehow. Anyway, we have strapped the final part of our station to our most powerful rocket, which I've been using for all three parts of the station construction. It is actually also the reusable one, as you've seen, you know. Now, this is the final part of the station for now. I would like to put our actual lab up there, because that would be quite useful, but, you know. Now, this station's cost has overrun quite a lot. I mean, I have saved 9,000 or something on reusing one of the stages, and I am hopefully going to get the same sort of money for this stage as well, and I also got quite a bit for the contract. But we also had a whole bit of the station core like burn up. We lost 40 grand there. So this has overrun a lot. So I'm going to try and find a way of making this profitable. Maybe just a cheap tourism thing or something like that. Or maybe just a science station. Anyway, so the other stage is barreling back towards... This first stage is barreling back towards the ocean. And I've put myself in a very kind of fast orbit so that this has a lot of time to land the stage and it won't be a problem. Anyway, just throwing out the fairing now, we've deployed all of our antenna so we will be able to communicate with the stage as we attempt to land it. This actually has more fuel in it today. I put 45 units of fuel as opposed to 36. Someone has suggested drogue chutes, and that is a very good... a very good suggestion, but I haven't unlocked them yet because I haven't gotten that far. So drogue chutes would be able to slow me down at supersonic speeds, but I just don't have them. So I put a little more fuel. I went from 36 units to 45 units to try and slow me down a little more, and just in time, we pulled the chutes. And it looks like this might land. It's actually even closer to the KSC this time, so I can tell you that we get back 9,700 funds. I left it all sped up because, you know, you can see it there. But yeah, 9,700 funds, so in total we've saved almost 20,000 funds by reusing first stages so far on this station. So, I mean, that is keeping the cost down a little bit, but with the first thing that totally failed, costing about 40 grand, the core, which we hacked down to 30 grand, the last bit that we put up and failed to reuse for, I've forgotten the exact price, but I think it was about 30 grand. And this, which we got for about 20 grand, that is quite an expensive station. I mean, that's what, I didn't actually do the maths just then, about 140 or something. And we got paid about 70 for the contract, including the bonus, and then about 20,000 more for various achievements we unlocked. For like world firsts. So we are overrun quite a lot, and if we hadn't, you know, failed on the first bit, it wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, there are still a few tourism contracts, but most of them want to go to Minmus. However, my plan now for exploring the Kerbal area is to have this station as kind of a station where you have like a transfer vehicle that'll take you to either the moon or Minmus. And then there'll be a station around Minmus. I do have a contract now for building a station around Minmus, and then you will drop out of orbit of Minmus and do all your things on the surface, go back, and it'll just be totally reusable. So that is my plan, and all of these contracts are kind of lining up. I also have a contract for putting a base on the surface of the moon, which I kind of would have preferred to be on Minmus, but whatever. But yeah, we will be having another station around Minmus quite well. It should be relatively well funded as well, because it's a pretty good contract. Although they do once again want me to take quite a lot of fuel, and I don't have mining ability right now, so that's going to be my biggest drawback. But with reusable rockets, it shouldn't be that bad. I'm going to try and make a fully reusable rocket, so we also get the first stage back. But anyway, enough of the future. here we are heading towards Hermes Station Core, which I should really just change to Hermes Station at this point. I like the name Hermes. I know it was the Martian spacecraft, but I'm terrible at thinking of names. But yeah, we've got Hermes, and I think the spacecraft that I'll use for going to the Hermes Station, which will be a 3-man spacecraft, will be called the Ares, because Hermes, Ares, it'll sound... I don't really know the mythology, I just like cool sounding words. Anyway, so yeah, let's just move in. We slow down in good time. Everything is looking rather wonderful, and hopefully soon we'll have a crew up here. Well, yeah, I have been working on a reusable rocket for a 3-crew spacecraft. It's kind of a little smaller than the current one, but trying to make a kind of not too short rocket and things is quite difficult. But it will be able to take some significant extra payload, like life support and fuel, because life support's obviously a big deal. For a crew of 6, I have 100 days of life support, and so obviously if I only take 3 up, I'll have 200 days of life support, so yeah. Anyway, that is completed. I need to decouple, obviously, the probe. I need to get rid of that, and apparently I still have control. I believe it's because I have a mech-jeb core on here, and now I just need to get rid of the stage, get rid of the probe there, and get rid of the fuel stage here, because I really don't need it anymore, and it looks kind of ugly. I really should have gotten the fuel out of it, but I sort of forgot, but it's fine. I've got tons of fuel on this station, and yeah, that is that. We got our money. Did I look at the contract? Sorry, I sped it up. I really should have slowed down for that. But anyway, I've been talking for the last couple episodes about how we really need a new communications array, and today we're doing that with this one launch. Yes, I prepared 3 very light satellites, very low mass satellites that will be able to cover all of low Kerbal orbit. There are 3 of them. They have the new omnidirectional antennas, which have a 5 megameter range. Yeah, so 5,000 kilometers, I think that is. Unless I'm totally mistaken. I think it's about 5,000. No, not 5,000 kilometers. Anyway, basically, I have totally... Yeah, it's 5 million meters, so about 5,000 kilometers. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so this is taking all 3 to orbit, and then from low Earth orbit, well, low Kerbal orbit, these will take themselves to orbit. They have the new solar panels. They have the long-range antenna. And yeah, for 12 grand, I get 3 satellites, which is, I think, rather impressive. Was it 12 grand? May have been more, maybe thinking of a different mission. But anyway, yeah. So, the main problem, as you will see, is that while they do have enough range to get from where they are to pretty much the other side of their orbit, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can communicate with each other in their own positions, and that'll raise some problems. But anyway, we'll take a look at it when it comes about. Anyway, I'm using the current 2 satellites, which have drifted basically right together, so I might as well just have 1 satellite at this point. And anyway, we're deploying the first one. We've deployed its antenna, and now we're going to burn ourselves into a geosynchronous orbit. And this time it will be basically perfect because I have patched conics so I can see the times on my orbits, and I have mech-jeb, which tells me my exact orbital period. We'll obviously be going for 6-hour orbits because that is the length of a day on Kerbal. And yeah, so yeah, these satellites actually have 2,000 meters per second delta V with those tiny fuel tanks and engines, which is rather impressive. So I could launch 3 quite easily, and they weigh about 400 kilograms each. So I'm thinking this is probably one of the best ways to go for kind of orbit to ground satellites, including the Moon and Minmus, and maybe even Duna when I send a few out there when I eventually need them, when I'm sending landers. I could just send like 1 of these to communicate with the ground, although it will also need a dish to communicate home, so it doesn't quite work like that. But I could just have 1 satellite for that, and then 3 for full coverage of a planet. But anyway, yeah, let's burn our way into orbit. This is about a third of the way round from the Hawkeye satellites. These are the ASE satellites, the all-seeing eye. Yes, they are the all-seeing eye of Sauron. Well, they're obviously not quite as malicious as Sauron, but anyway. Yeah, we're almost at the right orbital period. I want it to be exactly 6 hours. It pretty much doesn't matter as long as they all have the same orbital period, but I want it to be as perfect as possible, because while a minute doesn't sound like much, in 60 days that's slipped around in its orbit by an hour, which is pretty serious. Anyway, that's all perfect. Well, perfect-ish. And we're just sending off the AES probe. What? No, yeah, the AES-1 probe. This is actually ASE-2. Did I say AES? ASE, All-Seeing Eye. Yeah, I'll have to rename this to All-Seeing Eye 2. But yeah, this is just going to go a third of the orbit round, and yeah, I'll cut most of this out, but I've left it kind of at a reasonable time accelerator so you can see what's happening. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting ourselves up there and following along. I should come up roughly around this, the kind of position of those Hawkeyes, so this one will be taking on the Hawkeyes job. I will leave the Hawkeye satellites up there because they're useful, especially for communicating slightly longer range, because these don't have long range dishes. I am going to put an extra one up there with a longer range dish. Anyway, this is just me circularizing the orbit. Now, you can see the problem here is I don't actually have a communication with the other satellite, but that's fine because I have ground communications, but it will be a problem for the next satellite, so it can't actually be another third of the way around. It will have to be slightly less to communicate with one of the ones that can communicate with the ground. So, yeah, anyway, you will see that hopefully now, if I remember how I edited this, I think so, yeah, where are we looking at? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, here you can see I don't have any communication right here with any of these satellites, which is a large problem, because I need the one on the blind side of Kerbal to be able to communicate with the satellite so it can kind of relay data. So, yeah. Anyway, I allow myself to slip round in my orbit a bit by kind of speeding up and slowing down by changing my orbital period and basically get to this position. There we go. And yeah, put it here. It's actually about the other side of one of the satellites, but you can see up there my very skilled drawing shows the blind sites of each of the satellites. And as long as there's no blind site that's covered by all three, there shouldn't be a communications gap. Now, there is a slight one just on the very surface of Kerbal where the green and the red interlap inside the blue square. Now, that shouldn't be an issue, because as long as I'm in orbit, that should still, yeah, have full coverage. But yeah, these are just where the satellites can't see. So I think I have full communication all over Kerbal, which is good. And you can see my orbital period is almost exactly 2 hours. I really should have brought some more... I really should have brought some RCS, but I guess I could tweak it with like thrust limiting. I might do that at a later date to make it perfect, because these do need to stay, you know, kind of perfectly in orbit. Anyway, I mentioned last episode that I had some missions to do some temperature scans of Minmus still around, and I should probably get on that. I was going to send a probe, but my new satellite network doesn't do long-range communications, so I don't really trust the Hawkeyes anymore, so I designed a fairly low... a very low-cost manned mission. I think this was the $12,000 mission, or something like that. I don't know. It was very cheap, and we're going to go and earn a lot of money by doing Minmus things, so I can upgrade my contract center, because right now I only have 7 contracts that I can get at a time, and I want infinite, because I see so many contracts, I'm like, I want that, I want that, I want that. So yeah. Anywho, let's just burn our way into orbit and then head on. Now, this has a lot of delta V. Well, it has enough delta V, hopefully. So hopefully this will do the job. Now, I'm just going to do my standard thing. I've left this all sped up. And it is newer than the old Callistos. It's Callisto 8, which is an entirely new spacecraft. It's a little lighter, a little cheaper, has better solar panels, and is hopefully going to be good for kind of orbital exploration of Minmus and things, and the moon. I probably won't be doing too much more of that. I'm probably just going to do lander missions and the kind of station thing. So obviously I could do quite a lot of kind of station keeping, I guess. No, quite a lot of exploration of like temperature scans from a station with the spacecraft, which could make it very, very profitable. That's one of the other things about the Hermes station, is it's going to open quite a serious door to being able to do cheap missions in other places, so it will probably kind of implicitly pay itself off, so that's all good. Anyway, pretty standard, just burning my way up to Minmus, just past the ring of satellites and past the moon, of course. And then I'll need to do a slight plane change and all the usual stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm looking forward to my plan of having lots of kind of stations around and all of that. And then, I mean, at some point I'm going to need to figure out a way of exploring Duna. I do like, obviously, the Martians way, which I have done before, where you build a big ship. Oh yeah, I was just trying to do some inclination changes here, but they were very, very costly, so I'm just going to do smaller ones and spend a little more time around Minmus. Anyway, yeah, I do like the Martians way, where you have this big ship that goes and gets into orbit of Duna, of Mars, or Duna, I guess, for me. Which is a good method, because then it's there, and whenever you need to abort, you can just go back to the ship and leave, or wait to leave, as it will be in my case. There's also another idea called a cycler, where you have basically these big ships that fly past Duna or Mars, and then go back to Earth without having to slow down, so you don't have to spend so much delta V. And you pretty much have to make changes and meet it with like supply satellites and supply probes and things, and then you meet it in orbit with the MAB, so you don't have to spend so much fuel. But I'm not sure how well I'll be able to do that, since I'm not an astrodynamicist, I guess. I'm not a physicist. Anyway, yeah. Stupidly, I left my my periaps very high on my fly past, so that I could do an inclination change, which I didn't turn out needing to do. So I actually burned off way more fuel than I needed to slow down. Probably some of the more experienced KSP people were like, "What? Why are you doing this, Peter? This is crazy." And it was crazy. It was very foolish. But anyway, I have enough fuel. It's fine. I still have quite a lot of delta V, and I am going to put myself in a lower orbit now, obviously, just because I do need to be low down for these temperature scans, and I do have to make some pretty hefty inclination changes, which was my main thinking for leaving it as a high kind of orbit, but it didn't end up working out, because I do have a life support, limit, and I can't stay here forever. So yeah, I've got to kind of do a lot of these very dangerous maneuvers where I kind of pretty much graze the surface, and then take my temperature scan, and then burn into orbit again. I try not to go all the way into orbit for this one, because I don't actually need to. I just need to kind of fly past it and then maybe go into orbit, because there is one more. But yeah, I've already taken 2 of the temperature scans, and I think I get about 16 grand for each of them, and then about 100 grand for when I finish the missions, which is, pretty good pay, and should be able to upgrade my mission control center, which will be nice. So let's just get into this ravine and take my temperature scan and all of that, and then get into a proper orbit and do one more orbit and go and fetch the final temperature scan while I take a drink of water. Yeah. Anywho, let's just warp our way around this piece of, as I maintain, it's mint. Or mint ice cream. I think it looks more like mint ice cream. I said mint last time, like blue mint, but obviously it's green. More like green ice cream. I think everybody else is wrong, and I am right. Of course. That was my 7 weeks of cat monarchy voice. Oh, that was a fun video. Anyway, just time to drop ourselves down into out of orbit, into a suborbital trajectory, pretty much a ballistic trajectory, and just go and fetch our temperature scan and then do a very hasty, inefficient burn to get out. I really did make a lot of mistakes on this, and I'm sure some of you are trying to figure out why I'm telling you that I made so many mistakes. Maybe you're figuring out that it doesn't all go to plan, like a lot of my missions have. Maybe something goes awry. Maybe something goes wrong. Maybe things happen. We'll see. At 10. I don't know, I'm being a newscaster now. Let's just float our way down. It's not really floating in the vacuum, it's just falling with style, as Mr. Buzz Lightyear would say. And I'm just slowing myself down here, so I'll have a little more time to get out. A little more fuel, which is probably foolish, but, I still got enough-ish, probably. I usually need about 250 to get home, so it should be fine. Anyway, let's just, orient myself ready for getting the fuck out of Dodge, as I would say, as we go down and get a final temperature scan. Yeah, how long is... I was looking for the alarm clock. I'm wondering how long it is till we can do our plane change for Duna. I actually have been leaving about 20 days between launches, just so it can move along quite quickly. So I still do things between kind of going to Duna and stuff, because I think that's more fun. But we don't have to wait for like episodes and episodes and episodes. And the kind of amount of time you have to complete missions is so long that you can actually just kind of warp ahead. Anyway, so I put myself in an orbit using way too much fuel. Being very foolish. This was one of my least well done maneuvers. But anyway, now it's just time to leave pretty much. I just do an escape burn and do my standard kind of just escape Minmus, because often I'm in a weird orbit, so I pretty much just escape and then do my deorbit burn outside of the gravity of Minmus, which is a little less efficient, but it's just much more easy. And you can see here that as I do my deorbit burn, which would be fine, it goes over my delta V limit, which is a problem. So I get a very smart idea. I'll kick myself off the moon. Very good for deorbiting a little more efficiently, not so good for gravity assist while leaving Kerbal, but you can see here that that's going to take too long. That's 17 days. I only have 14 days of life support. So how will I do this? You will find out in the next episode. Yes, we have run out of time. You can come back in the next episode and find out exactly how I get home without using too much fuel. Well, with the fuel limit I have, and with the time limit I have on life support. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been Casby with Tape. I will see you next time.